Yeah, hi folks. Yes, the fix is in. Meng Foon is a stooge for the Labour Party. Now, the other day, Michael Laws interviewed Foon on the platform, and in that interview he exposes how Foon is using his Race Relations Commissioner position to censor speech on Three Waters and Maori wards on councils, etc., which is clearly beyond his mandate. But first, a bit of background from September last year.
I just want to leave some time to talk about the National Action Plan. Can you introduce what it is, how we can participate, what your timeframes are?
So the National Action Plan is a United Nations signed up document with the New Zealand government, and the Labour Party have actually put it in their manifesto, and so they are going to own and implement the action plan. They have asked the Human Rights Commission to actually engage with civil society, which is yourselves, and we would love you to participate in your experiences and your knowledge in how to eliminate racism in Aotearoa. You could go to the Human Rights Commission's website, againstracism.hrc.co.nz.
Thank you so much for your time.
Now, this is the human rights page he was talking about. Now, folks, I've posted links to this page and the next page. Now, this is the UN agreement that Ming was referring to, CURD, Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. Now, if you come to this United Nations page and select New Zealand, you will see that CURD agreement was signed in 1996, and the national government was in power then. Now, that is important to note because the Labour Party is using that agreement as the basis for the following document, which is the same one as Michael Laws refers to in his upcoming clip. Now, folks, this was pre-recorded yesterday, and it's full of Labour Party racism and other discrimination propaganda. Now, folks, I've posted a link to this below. Vote 2022. Inclusive Campaigning Guidelines. As a public and community leader, take the opportunity to be an upstander. Inclusive campaigning and respectful debate supports diversity and inclusion in our communities. Message from Meng Foon, Race Relations Commissioner. As Race Relations Commissioner, I encourage every candidate to run a campaign that supports building harmonious communities and gives nothing to racism. Serving in local government is an important leadership role, and campaigns are an opportunity to demonstrate leadership values of inclusivity, non-discrimination and belonging. Anyway, let's go and see some of these guidelines. Things to consider. No, these are not things to consider. These are speech police rules that people running for council will have to abide by, or they will not be selected. And you'll see that in my next clip with Michael Laws. Respect and uphold Te Tiriti o Waitangi. Te Tiriti is Aotearoa New Zealand's founding document and informs us how we should approach partnering with mana whenua and Maori. No, there is nothing in the treaty about partnerships or co-governance. Maori ceded sovereignty to the Crown. Value Te Reo Maori. It's an official language of Aotearoa New Zealand, and it's a taonga unique to New Zealand. Now, how can they get respect when they can't even get the name of our country right? And what does taonga mean? That's racism right there. Don't perpetuate stereotypes. Stereotypes and generalizations are not based on facts and can be harmful to communities. Consider what language you use and how you speak. That says it all, folks. Avoid race baiting. Targeting immigration or migrants as the cause of national issues is often inaccurate. But it's often accurate as well, but we're not allowed to talk about that. Reframe debates to avoid racism. Some debates can be framed in racist and derogatory terms. This has recently included Three Waters and Maori wards, which have, at times, become derogatory towards Maori. Now, what do you expect when people see all of New Zealand water being controlled by Maori? And when they see unelected Maori getting special treatment on councils? Support the whole community. Candidates who value diversity and inclusion in our communities should be able to identify actions they would take in office to support diversity, inclusion and build belonging. So candidates must have a policy on diversity and inclusion. So I assume that means using the right pronouns as well. Support accessibility. Participating in elections is part of being engaged in civil society. Having an accessible campaign means reducing barriers for people to connect and engage with you, as well as going out to meet people who may not come to you. So they now want to control the whole campaign.
There are some, I'd have to say, as an elected member, some disturbing aspects to this. And one of them, and the most important one, is that Local Government New Zealand did not consult its members and certainly didn't consult me or my council before it decided to publish them. But nevertheless, it has been published now. It's a small document. I'll put it up on the platform for you, and you can read it for yourself. But well, I guess you could call him, almost, couldn't you, the sort of co-author of this, is the Race Relations Conciliator, Commissioner, my apologies. Yes, and that's Meng Foon, and a former Mayor of Gisborne, I might add. Meng, good morning to you, and thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, morning, Mike.
Can I ask the first question? How did this document come together? Did you approach them, or did they approach you in terms of Local Government New Zealand?
Ever since I've been in the role as Race Relations Commissioner, I have written to the national elections, to all the parties involved, to ensure, that they deal with the issues, not with the people. And so this time, I also did that in the Tauranga by-election, and this time for local government. So I approached Local Government New Zealand.
Okay, and they said to you, Meng, why don't we do something together?
Awesome. Yep.
Is that right?
That's right. That's right. We'll work together on this because we need to do it together, not singularly.
And it was released, I assume, yesterday. Well, that's when I got my copy, so I'm assuming it was released at the Tuesday session of the Local Government New Zealand conference. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know when it was released, but
okay.
It's been about 2 or 3 months in the making.
Yes. Okay. Now, the obvious thing is that if I look at this, I feel personally excluded, not included from it. So, for example, I have problems with co-governance of Three Waters. I have problems with Maori wards. I have problems with migration. These are issues that I know that are dear to the heart of a good number of my constituents as well. It's one of the primary reasons why Three Waters in its current guise is opposed by so many councils. This document seems to take a political view on those issues, doesn't it, Meng?
Of course it does.
No, I think what we're saying to people that are wanting to be elected or re-elected, that they actually deal with the issues rather than with the people that are involved. Whether it's we live in a multi-ethnic country, and it wasn't that long ago when Asians were the brunt of house prices going up. Well, since COVID, it wasn't actually Asians that put the house prices up. It wasn't Asians that were bad drivers that put the road toll up either, because there'd been no Asians driving cars or coming from overseas during the COVID time. So we just need to make sure that those generalisations are extinguished, and that people actually deal with the issues of co-governance, three waters, rubbish, roads, housing, health, rather than dealing with the people that have caused the issues.
Well, can I give you an example here? One of the things to consider you've got in this campaign, one of the documents is that some debates, it says, can be framed in racist and derogatory terms. This has recently included Three Waters and Maori wards, which have at times become derogatory towards Maori. This is racist and not based on fact. What's racist about Three Waters and Maori wards?
Well, I'll tell you what a couple of councillors have put out is burn the tiriti.
Sorry?
Burn the tiriti, that it has no relevance in today's world.
Well, what's wrong with that? I don't agree, but they can say that.
Yeah.
In Aotearoa.
Yeah.
And so we're saying, yes, it does. There is a
But that's not racist, is it? I mean, it's not racist to say that the treaty should have no relevance in today's world. Is that racist?
Yeah, but they're saying that Māori shouldn't actually participate in anything. That they should be subservient.
No, they didn't say that, Meng. They wouldn't have said that. They would have said, burn Te Tiriti, the treaty should have no relevance in our lives. That's not the same as Māori should be subservient and have no say. They have a say.
No, but that's what they also say, is that Māori should not be participating in the decision-making of Aotearoa.
I have never, ever heard that. We have elections every 3 years.
Well, they do participate, though, don't they, through voting? What are you trying to say? That there are councillors who have openly, publicly stated that Māori should be banned from voting in local government elections?
Not voting in government elections, participating in decision-making where that there's been disproportionate.
No, you've lost me. Sorry. What do you mean disproportionate? Are you thinking about the Rotorua ward, Maori ward issue?
There's 78 councils and there's 30-odd councils that have decided that Māori have value, and they have decided that Māori should actually be on council, and that's why they have the Māori seats through the minister's sanction. And so other councillors saying, no, you just participate as a voter.
So let me get this right, Meng. If I just want to understand absolutely rightly. If councils don't have specific Māori seats, you're saying that they are effectively saying, those councils, that Māori have no value?
Yep, because, there's, in some councils, there's been no Māoris on councils at all.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, so what?
And yet they have a big role in the kaitiaki part of New Zealand's well-being, especially in terms of environmental matters. And they hold us to account, hold councils to account, to ensure that the environmental matters are addressed.
I'm sure that they're an important part of any community, but is it the job of Māori to hold councils to account? I thought there was legislation that governed that.
I don't think the legislation generally is strong enough. Generally, it's the generally it's tangata whenua that holds councils to account. I mean, here in Gisborne, we let the sewage run into the sea for 60 years, till they said to me, look, the sewage needs to actually be taken out of the sea. So we did that in my time anyway.
Okay, so
other jurisdictions never listened at all.
So
just continued to pollute.
So do you think that your views have been picked up adequately by Local Government New Zealand in terms of this document?
It's a work in progress. I mean, it's there to, and it's the main purpose of the document is for the coming up local government elections, and it's not to vilify people, but it's to actually focus on the issues at hand.
You've also got something in here that says that we should focus on the issues, not the person. Isn't the reality, though, Meng, and you should know this as a mayor, that when people put themselves up for public office and they become the most important elected member of their community, their personality and their character are issues that voters need to discuss and decide upon?
No, it's the issues that they bring up that are important to the community's agenda.
So you don't think their character and personality is important?
Well, it's important, but it's not there to be bashed around during elections as well.
So being a criminal is okay, so long as they focus on the issues.
Well, can I give an example? The best example of that would be currently the Auckland mayoralty, which is hotly contested. It has somebody there who is set himself up as being a character and a personality, and he uses the vernacular, and he's made it very clearly it's about personality, and that is Leo Malloy. Haven't we got the right to judge Mr. Malloy on his character and his background before we decide whether or not he's going to be elected?
Yeah, sure. You can judge him on his character and his policies and all that, but long as he doesn't go out and say derogatory things on women and other ethnicities or even men.
Yeah, I didn't realise that women were ethnicity, but nevertheless. All right, Meng, what you've clarified for me, though, is that this was your initiative, so this came out of the Race Relations Commission office or the Human Rights Commission office. That you sat down with the Chief Executive of Local Government New Zealand, you framed these, and you've clearly told me that it's a number of issues that you wanted Local Government New Zealand to pursue. You've now released these campaigning guidelines for all local government candidates in New Zealand. Will you be judging your success or failure by how many of, or what? How do you now judge whether or not people have listened or people have enacted these guidelines?
Now, listen carefully here, folks.
Yeah, well, the first thing that we're doing is actually holding an online forum for any person that wishes to be elected or re-elected and attend that forum, which I will be hosting. And also any candidates that actually, in my view, fall out of line, they will be held to account.
There it is, folks. They won't be selected to run or get elected.
So will you hold them to account publicly?
Absolutely.
All right. Fair enough, Meng. Thank you very much for that. And I thank you for joining me on the show this morning. Appreciate your time. There you go. All right. Now, you thought I was making this up, didn't you? You thought, laws, he's exaggerating this. There's hyperbole there. You tell me that there isn't an agenda. There is an agenda. And then what's the next part of that? Who's signed up for that agenda? Local Government New Zealand, representing all of the councils of New Zealand. Territorial, regional, unitary. And what is the aim? You heard it yourself. The aim is to make sure that candidates who endorse and adhere to these principles are elected, and that those who do not associate themselves with this agenda or oppose it are called out publicly.
Yes, folks, the fix is clearly in. If they can do this to local elections, they will do it for general elections. And you can be assured the national government won't stop it, as they are part of the problem. They signed the Kurd agreement that got this whole ball rolling.